Today I'm going to be going over the top 10 biggest muscle building and fat loss myths and mistakes that people both fall for and make. Okay. In particular, I'm going to be going over the main diet and nutrition mistakes and myths that people fall for. Over the years, my knowledge in nutrition, diet, how to go about cutting, bulking, etc., has exponentially increased. Okay. I've read extensive amounts of literature, watched hundreds of videos on it, and essentially, I'm going to be going over the top 10 mistakes and myths that I made when first trying to get in shape. But in particular, the top 10 things regarding food and how to eat, what diet to follow, and how you should actually go about eating if you want to achieve your goal of an aesthetic physique. So without further ado, let me get on with it. So myth number one that is somehow now fashionable is this idea that calories in, calories out is outdated, doesn't work anymore, is ineffective at helping you lose fat or build muscle. And the reality of this contention is that it is absolutely BS. Okay. You may have heard some people go on huge podcasts with like millions of followers saying that calories in, calories out is actually not the number one driver of weight loss. It's actually, something else, or it's actually, good food. Their idea of what good food is. It's the carnivore diet. It's vegan. It's vegetarian. It's not calories in, calories out. And this sounds compelling to us because we're all lazy inherently. We want what's easy. We want to follow the easiest path to achieve our goal. So when someone says, food quality matters, not calories, or this diet, this carnivore diet, or this vegetarian, paleo, Mediterranean diet is going to boost your testosterone, so you should follow this. Don't worry about tracking your calories. It's nothing to do with that. If you just eat quality food, then you'll build muscle and lose fat. Okay. This will increase your metabolism as well. And all these myths and fads that we fall for because, one, it sounds very good, right? We don't want to worry about tracking, weighing our food, worrying about macros. We want to just eat what's in front of us, not think about it. Not think about how much we need to eat, just eat it. And if someone tells us, it doesn't matter how much you eat, just whatever you eat, make sure it's, this type of food, and you'll never get fat. You'll never, you'll stop being skinny. And so we choose that path because it's easiest and it sounds compelling, right? But obviously this is all a lie. If you're 300 pounds, and I can put this into perspective, right? If you're 300 pounds, right, and you eat Doritos, cupcakes, Oreos for a year, and you lose 100 pounds versus a guy who's 300 pounds, obese, and he eats steak, broccoli, potatoes, salmon, apples, blueberries, but he stays at 300 pounds because he wasn't tracking his food, versus the guy who was eating junk food but was tracking his food, who's actually healthier. It's the guy who lost 100 pounds, whose health markers are now in the normal range, who's not about to have a heart attack, even though he ate junk food to do it. Now, obviously, I would never recommend someone to go about eating junk food to lose weight, right? But this is just to affirm the point that I'm making, which is that calories in, calories out is not a lie. It's the number one driver of whether you'll lose fat or gain fat, okay? And people have shown this throughout the internet. You can find videos of a guy who eats McDonald's for 30 days straight and gets a six-pack. Obviously, again, he's not saying you should do this to get a six-pack. He's just showing you that it's possible. And by extension, if you're in a calorie deficit, this means you're going to lose weight. Okay. That's as simple as it gets. That's always going to be true. This is the first law of thermodynamics. It's never not going to be true. So whoever is trying to sell you on some other diet device and who's ever discounting or denouncing this to be true, stop listening to them because they're going against science and objective truth, which is, a losing battle, right? As long as you know how much you're eating of something, you're always going to be in control of whether you gain weight or lose weight. As long as if you just focus on what you're eating, yes, you can still gain muscle, lose fat without tracking, right? But you're never going to be in control. And so when you don't see the progress you were expecting, we're quick to blame something else, right? But in reality, it's always because we weren't tracking our food, okay? Now, of course, I'd never recommend, again, anyone to eat like this. And please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Let me reiterate. The nutritional value of your food is absolutely vital for health and longevity. point I'm trying to make is this: you can improve your body composition, how much muscle or how much fat you have on your frame, while also eating junk food, as you know, as exhibited by all these people who eat Oreos and donuts for a month and they lose weight because they're in a calorie deficit. So weight loss, weight gain is driven by one thing and one thing only: energy balance. Okay, how many calories do you eat in a day versus how many calories do you burn in a day? But foods differ in terms of their energy density. So if you're trying to lose weight or you're trying to lose fat, 20 pounds of fat, that's been your goal for, a couple of years now, but you're eating nuts or you're having a lot of olive oil. Yes, these foods are objectively healthy in terms of, their micronutrients, minerals, vitamins, etc. But they're very energy dense, which means that per gram of nuts or per gram of olive oil, the calorie to gram ratio is very high. So yes, they're healthy, but these are the last foods you want to be eating if you're trying to lose weight, right? They have 6.5 calories per gram. Celery or lettuce, on the other hand, um, stores almost no energy. It has 0.15 calories per gram, which means that you can pretty much eat as much of it as you want and not worry about really getting fat, right? The point is this: if you added up all your calories you ate in a day and then compared that number to all the calories you burned in a day, you'd either notice that you ate more calories than you burned if you have a Whoop or Apple Watch or a MyFitnessPal. All of those are great to see how many calories you burn in a day. You'd either notice that you ate more calories than you burned, in which case you'll gain weight, or burn more calories than you ate, in which case you'll lose weight, or burn and eat the same amount approximately of calories, um, in which case you'll stay the same weight, right? Again, this is the law of thermodynamics. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, it can only change form. So when you eat food, the energy, that becomes energy, which is stored, and that's transferred by three things: your muscles through movement, when you go to the gym, when you walk, when you do this, when you speak, that's energy being expended through movement, mechanical energy. Or your digestive system, so the digestion of the food itself into chemical energy, stored as body fat. So once you've digested the food, part of it gets stored as body fat, energy. And lastly, your organs, the food is transferred, and the energy from the food is transferred into your organs in the form of thermal energy, which is heat. So it goes into heat, body fat, and movement. So you have three things to use up the energy. Now, two of those things are fixed, right? You can only heat up so much, right? Your organs can only use so much energy to heat up. You can only move so much, right, in the day to expend energy. So the rest will go to body fat. So this is what every controlled weight loss study has found in the last 100 years. This is what decades of obesity research has found. Energy intake exceeding energy expenditure is the main driver of weight gain. All top bodybuilders know this. Everyone who's won Mr. Olympia has been in a calorie deficit before stepping on stage, because they understand that if they want to win, they have to follow physics, they have to follow science to reduce their body fat. They have to be in an energy deficit. So eat more than you burn, you have a positive energy balance, and your body will store this positive energy surplus in the form of body fat, okay, fat. Eat less than you burn, and you have an energy deficit, and your body will burn your body fat. It will use that as energy to make up for the negative energy balance, and this will end up in, over consistent time frame, you getting leaner and leaner. So this doesn't mean that you have to meticulously count calories, though. You don't have to be autistic about it. You don't have to constantly weigh every gram of food. But you do have to understand that if you are not losing weight, then even though you may be eating healthy, right? You may be eating the right foods. Your doctor's telling you to eat more vegetables and fish or whatever, but you're not counting your calories. You're not weighing out that fish and all the food that you're eating. You're not burning enough. You're not walking. You're not moving enough. Then you're not going to lose weight, right? And this is why people who go on fad diets like keto, like fasting, like paleo, like Mediterranean or whatever, it works for some people and it doesn't work for others, right? Even though none of each group are tracking. So not because one's an alien or one's a human, but because by chance one happened to produce an energy deficit for one person and and didn't produce an energy deficit for the other. Okay, so people who lost weight with keto or fasting lost weight not because they cut out carbs or sugar or gluten, right? But because cutting out carbs, sugar, or gluten allowed them to be in a calorie deficit over a long enough time period to lose weight. So it doesn't matter. Again, Mediterranean, vegan, vegetarian, paleo, you'll only lose weight when you consistently eat less calories than you burn. And the only way to fail at losing fat is to eat more calories than you burn consistently. That's the only way you'll fail. Oh, but I ate 1,000 calories a day for 3 months straight. I trained every day in the gym for an hour and I actually gained weight. Okay, so energy balance, I don't believe it. It's my hormones, it's my metabolism, it's my age. No, wrong. You're wrong. Again, you may think, we all like to think we're special, we're an anomaly to science, right? But we're not. What's happened here for all these people, right? You've heard it, we've all heard it before. Oh, but I eat so little, I move so much, I train all the time, but I gained weight or I stayed the same weight, I didn't lose any weight. Um, so again, you're not an alien, you're a human. So what's happened here is human error, right? Most people suck at estimating and even tracking their calories. People may think they're in starvation mode, which is 800 calories a day, but in reality, they're double that, right? They're eating 1,200 or 1,500 or more calories a day. And this is an easy mistake to make. I made it all the time, okay? Because I didn't realize that me running or me working out for an hour wasn't going to do the trick. Didn't excuse, a slice of pizza or a cheeseburger, because a slice of pizza and a cheeseburger are around 300 to 400 calories, which is how many calories you burn in a workout or on a run. So people greatly underestimate their caloric intake because of this. We think that, movement and exercise expends so much more energy than food, when in reality, energy absorbed from food outweighs massively the energy expended from exercise, relatively speaking, right? Another mistake people make in this case when they say, oh, I can't gain weight, I can't lose weight, is they are overestimating the calories burned. Okay, gym workouts, runs don't burn as many calories as you think. Again, so this alone can prevent you from weight loss. Even if you eat well, even if you track your caloric intake, you may think because you do a walk every day or because you do a workout every day that, this means I should be in a calorie deficit. But you have to actually check you have to check how many calories those steps burn. You have to be wearing something to track how many calories your steps or your basketball game burnt, right? And the final mistake people make is overeating, eating too many cheat meals or cheat days. Never eat a cheat day, by the way. Never eat a cheat day. Those aren't a thing. Cheat meals, yes, once a week, fine. But cheat days are going to absolutely destroy your progress, okay? And then they wonder why they're not losing weight. For example, you ate 300 calories less than you burnt on Monday to Friday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you were in a 300 calorie deficit. That's a 1,500 calorie deficit so far for the week. And then on Saturday, you decide to have a cheat day, right? And you eat 1,000 calories more than you burn. So if you burn 2,000 calories and you eat 3,000 calories on Saturday, then you're in a 1,000 calorie surplus. And then on Sunday, you take a rest day. You want to relax a bit more because you had a hard week at work. So you eat, 400 calorie surplus. But now you're back to square one. Now if you subtract 1,400 from 1,500, that's 100 calorie deficit. Okay, so you're back to square one, and you basically just wiped out 5 days of dieting just because you wanted to have a cheat day or a cheat meal. So besides people not actually tracking their calories, those are the three examples of human error, which I hear all the time and I respond to all the time when people say, I can't gain weight, I can't lose weight, it's my metabolism, it's my hormones, it's my age. No, it's human error, okay? Because you're not an alien, right? And again, you can lose weight without tracking your calories, but you won't see consistent results if you have no idea how many calories you eat or burn in a day, right? You need to be in control if you want to see progress. Otherwise, you'll just be a slave to what you're eating, right? You'll always be confused as to why you're not seeing progress. But if you have something to measure, then you'll never be confused because you know you're going to see progress because it's scientifically impossible for you not to. right? Hundreds of years of scientific literature tells us that lean, obese, healthy, diseased, old, young, doesn't matter. Energy balance is king. Okay. But just because it's king does not mean that nothing else matters. Okay. Which is another myth that people posit, or I've seen that's people say, which is that calories in, calories out is all that matters. Calories in, calories out tells us how much energy you eat and how much energy you burn, right? But it doesn't tell you where that energy comes from. Now, obviously, we're all not stupid. Just because I said you can get a six pack eating McDonald's doesn't mean that you should, and doesn't mean that you're healthy either if you have a six pack and all you eat is McDonald's. This is because not all energy is made equal. Protein, for example, has a different effect on the body than carbs and fat. It is way more conducive to fat loss and muscle growth. What does this mean? It means that if you want to gain muscle, if you want to be lean, muscular, strong, big, then you have to be eating a high protein diet. Okay? Calories in, calories out also ignores the importance of nutrition in food for health and vitality and longevity. Okay? So it's possible to get shredded eating like a 12-year-old boy on vacation, eating lollipops and buffet and Nutella pancakes, right? But body composition does not equal health. Okay? This is why it's sad to say, but a lot of influencers who look insane are very unhealthy, and you know where that leads sometimes. So just like you can be slightly overweight, like football players or not sumo wrestlers, they're probably too overweight, but football players sometimes, or rugby players, they need to get a bit of body fat on them, but they're still incredibly healthy because they exercise regularly and they eat well, but they eat clean, right? You can also be unhealthy if you're in great shape, but you're eating cookies, pizza, chips, and ice cream with no fruits, no vegetables, no whole grains, and no high quality protein. Okay? So if you want to optimize your body for composition, so for how you look, aesthetics, and health, how you feel, then you can't just eat junk food and I'm in a calorie deficit, so I'm getting towards my goal. No, your health markers are going to be off. You're going to feel like trash. Your mood's going to be trash. Your ambition, you're not going to have any ambition. You're going to be demotivated, not disciplined, right? You don't have both. So you need both nutritious food and an energy imbalance to both look incredibly impressive and to feel insanely happy. So that's the second myth. The third myth I want to debunk is dieting damages your metabolism. Another one I fell for. I used to think that every time I went into calorie deficit, I wasn't, seeing progress because my metabolism was decreasing because I'm eating less. Because in order to have a high metabolism, you have to eat a lot frequently, right? I think many of us have fallen for that myth, right? You always find that person who says they can't lose weight, and even though they're on an extremely low calorie diet, working out every day, and they go ahead and blame their low caloric intake, and that has damaged their metabolism. Metabolic damage is what people call it. And again, this is what I used to believe. Dieting crashes your metabolism, which stops fat loss. And then to recover your metabolism, you need to eat more to fix the damage, right? Which is just entirely false. So while your metabolism does decrease, of course it does, right? It has to in order for you to survive and conserve energy. It does not decrease. The decrease is negligible. It's not going to do pretty much anything for you to continue seeing fat loss or making it any harder for you to see fat loss. It is so negligible that it does not matter and it does not affect your fat loss process, right? And it doesn't need to be fixed by eating more or increasing your calories. Same with starvation mode. Yes, eating 800 calories a day will decrease your metabolism, but barely, really barely. Scientists conducted a study which showed that 171 obese women, their resting metabolic rate after dieting for 5 months, so after being in a calorie deficit for 5 months, only dropped by 50 calories a day. 50 calories a day, that's nothing, okay? Other studies showed that metabolic decline during dieting periods range from 5% to 15% decrease in metabolism, okay? Which again is pretty much nothing, negligible. And most of the research conducted was with people who made all the worst mistakes, right? These were people like me or you maybe who work out, eat well, sleep well. These were people who ate barely any calories, barely any protein, and high sugar, without going to the gym. So while dieting can reduce your metabolism, it's negligible. And if you drop your calories, when you drop your calories burnt may drop because of hormonal changes, like leptin, your leptin levels, which is the hormone responsible for hunger, and ghrelin as well, your thyroid hormones, which is, your hormone responsible for the rate at which you burn energy, your testosterone as well. But this is a survival adaptation to reduce energy expenditure and increase energy intake, right? If our hunter gatherers didn't see food for weeks, they needed to slow down their metabolism so they can hold on to that energy and survive, right? So yes, your weight loss may slow down, but it won't stop as long as you continue to eat less and move more. Just train hard. This is what I do. Just train hard, remain in a small calorie deficit, 300 to 500, and eat high protein, and your metabolism won't hold you back at all. Okay? If you're not losing weight or not gaining weight, it's not your metabolism if you're doing those things. It's you not tracking your metrics, your food properly, right? Myth number 4. Carbs and sugar make you fat, unhealthy, pudgy, bloated, puffy faced. Again, we love easy solutions. We love blaming people and things for our problems. We love blaming government. We love blaming elites. We love blaming big food, big pharma, big tech. But we are in control of everything we do. It's our fault that we, put up with things from people, from institutions. Um, so get that victim mentality out of your head, because this is why fad diets are so popular, because they tell you it's not your fault, right? It's not your fault that you're fat and unhealthy. It's not because you eat too much or move too little. It's because you're a victim to big food or all these industries trying to grab your attention span and your sugary taste buds, which is true, by the way. It's not entirely your fault. It's very hard to eat well these days. It's very easy to eat like shit these days, right? Because we're surrounded by frosties and just poisonous food. But at the same time, you are still in complete control. But what they do is they grab you at that state of mind, right? That you feel like a victim, and then they say, just drink some green tea, okay? And you'll burn fat quicker, right? We've all seen those ads. And you want it to be so true, so you pay them. You buy their ebook, you buy their cookbook, you buy their, whatever fad diet they're selling you. That's the quick fix to your weight gain or your weight loss. This is how, if you guys, I wasn't really aware of this, but 10 years ago, big food demonized foods that were high in fat as the problem to weight gain. And then they started pushing sugar, high sugar foods. But in reality, it's sugar that's the problem. It's not fatty foods. This is why we get sold on all the low sugar, low carb cereals or protein bars, right? Because now we've been brainwashed into falling for the marketing of sugar is bad, carbs are bad, so we buy the low carb stuff. Okay, and I'm not saying those things are bad. I'm just saying understand why you think the way you think in terms of how you view sugars and carbs. But almost every randomized control trial found no difference in weight loss between those that did a low high carb and a low high sugar diet. Okay, Arizona State University found no difference in fat loss between people consuming 4% of their calories from carbs and people consuming 30% of their calories from carbs. Harvard School of Public Health found no difference in fat loss between people consuming 65%, 45%, and 35% of their calories from carbs for 2 years straight. 2 years straight. People who ate, loads of carbs versus little carbs. There's no difference in weight loss because they were all in the calorie deficit, so it doesn't matter. Journal of the American Model Association, Duke University, International Journal of Obesity found all the same results, right? Doesn't matter how much of your calories you get from carbs or sugar, as long as you're in an energy deficit or energy surplus, you'll lose or gain weight accordingly, okay? So don't believe any of the anti-carb, anti-sugar insanity, okay? Remember, only overeating makes you fat and unhealthy. But then people will say to me, or I'll see someone say on a podcast, insulin, right? This thing about insulin, that's what's making you gain fat. It's insulin. No, insulin, carbs spike your insulin, right? Not only carbs, protein, fats, carbs, they all spike your insulin when you eat, okay? But this doesn't make you fat. High carb food although it may trigger a larger insulin or spike in insulin, does not mean that that food itself is fattening, right? Every food gets insulin response. Okay, eating carbs trigger insulin production, which does trigger fat storage, right? Because your energy consumption, which as we discussed, has to store the energy in terms of body fat, but that doesn't actually make you fat. Only overeating makes you fat. Okay, remember that. Remember that. Insulin is a hormone that causes your muscles and fat tissues to use nutrients like glucose, which is the sugar in carbs, use it as a source of energy, right? And amino acids as well. Whenever you have protein, amino acids are the molecule that make up proteins. Whenever you eat protein, you get an insulin response. You get a spike in insulin. When you eat protein, carbs, fat, you get a spike in insulin. And this allows your body to use energy to keep you alive, okay? Your body uses the energy, it increases fat stores. Then once you've digested, absorbed, you've absorbed the food, you've burnt the food, and you've stored the food in your organs as heat or in your movement as body fat. Sorry, in movement, organs as heat or as body fat, right? Then your insulin levels drop back to baseline, and it's up to you what to do with the rest, with that energy that you've consumed. So now you rely on these fat stores for energy. So here's what it looks like. So when you eat breakfast, insulin spikes, insulin stimulated fat gain, and you burn it, you get back to baseline, and then you lose fat the longer you go without eating. And you eat again, it spikes again, you burn it, you get to baseline, goes down before you eat dinner, goes up, you burn it, reaches baseline, and then you're fasting for 8 hours when you sleep, okay? And this will show you the area under the curve is your energy balance. So if, the breakfast, lunch, and dinner, there's more area under the curve, you're going to gain weight, and vice versa for all my mathematicians, right? The lighter parts of the graph show when you eat food, right? When you store the energy. The dark parts show food energy is absent, and when you burn body fat instead. So insulin, again, this graph shows it, is not to blame for fat gain. Excess calories, area under the curve, in terms of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, grow fat cells. Okay, so if you eat too much food and don't move enough, you're going to get fat. That's how it works. I'll put myself right here. Myth number 5: you have to eat clean to be lean and healthy. Okay, first of all, no one can even agree nowadays what food is healthy anymore. We're getting thrown at us so much information. There's a podcast every day which has a doctor coming on that says vegan and carnivore are the best, and then the next day it say keto and fruitarian is the best. Then it will say gluten-free is actually the best at losing fat, and non-GMOs are the best at losing fat. Then someone will say, oh no, you have to eat raw food like raw liver, raw heart, raw eyeballs, raw testicles, or whatever, right? So with this toxic information overload, no one can agree. Even doctors, even experts can agree on what healthy food actually is. Okay, there's some doctor out there who'll claim one is right, and another doctor who'll say the opposite. Okay, what I think and what I know to be true is technically there are no such things as good or bad foods. High calorie foods are not fattening. It's only fattening if you eat a lot of those high calorie foods. Low calorie foods, likewise, are not slimming. It's only slimming if you eat those low calorie foods and you happen to be in an energy deficit. Nutritious foods are not good. Less nutritious foods are not bad. Again, come back to what we discussed as king, energy balance. You may be eating an amazingly nutritious foods, but you may be eating an 1,000 calorie surplus, and you'll just gain fat, you'll get obese, and trust me, your health will go down the drain. Doesn't matter how well you eat. So you should consider eat food in terms of their calories, in terms of their macros, so protein, carbs, fat, and their micronutrients in terms of their nutrients. What nutrients are they comprised of? Instead of thinking about whether one particular meal is healthy or not, you have to focus on your diet as a whole. What does your diet as a whole look like? Okay, is your calorie intake calibrated properly? Do you know your energy balance throughout the week? Are you eating 500 calories less than you burn every and each day with one cheat meal a week? And with that one cheat meal, you're still in an energy deficit. Are you eating enough protein, carbs, and fats? Are you getting enough vitamins, minerals, and nutrients to preserve health? For example, if 80% of your calories come from high quality protein, fruits, and vegetables, then your diet is healthy. It does not matter where you get the other 20% from. Okay. So the truth is you have to eat 80% clean to be both lean and healthy. Okay. If you want to be healthy as well, you have to be 80% of your food. Every 80% of your diet has to be the tradition, lean protein, fruit, vegetables, right? But that doesn't mean all of it has to be like that to be healthy. Myth number 6, vegan and vegetarian diets are the healthiest. Now, people are saying this less and less. Thank God there's literature coming out against veganism and vegetarianism showing how they're like micronutrient deficient and like their bones break easily and like their teeth rots and stuff like that, right? Thank God for that, because it's true. We need plant food for health and performance. We need to eat more fruits and vegetables to become healthier, to live longer, to be disease free. And if you don't eat fruits and vegetables, you're not going to live. You're not going to see 80 years old, 90 years old, 100 years old. Okay, chances are. So fruits and vegetables provide essential vitamins and minerals. Okay, they also provide phytonutrients like sulforaphane and anthocyanins, which are basically micronutrients essential for, think of it as, health, longevity, bone health, heart health, brain health, hair health, all those things. My favorite things and the two healthiest fruit and vegetables for me are broccoli and blueberries. If you eat these on 80%, honestly, not 80% of the time, throughout the week, if try eat them every day, that'll be amazing. These two, broccoli in terms of as a vegetable and blueberries as a fruit provide so many health benefits. Okay, reduce cancer risk, aging, cholesterol. They're incredible. These two fruit and vegetables, they're like the king of fruit and vegetables. So just eat those, and you don't have to worry about eating any other fruit or vegetables. Multivitamins won't do the trick. Supplements won't do the trick. Any powder or pill that you get sold on won't do the trick. Okay, you need to eat real physical food if you want the pure benefits of a healthy diet, right? So what's also vital to eat a lot of is fiber. Fiber is vital for living a long, healthy life. Okay, and that is also found in fruits, in vegetables, in legumes, in nuts, and grains. But that doesn't mean that only eating these foods is the way to go about things, right? Just because broccoli and blueberries are amazing doesn't mean that if you only eat those foods, you will be the healthiest, best version of yourself. No, that will cause a lot of problems for yourself, because especially if you're trying to build muscle and lose fat, definitely you cannot be a vegetarian or a vegan without at least supplementing protein powder or eating a lot of those, vegetarian, vegan foods that will give you enough protein, right? There are, because there are certain plants that are rich in quality protein, but you need to eat a lot of these, right? And then if you want to maintain an energy deficit, that can be difficult. And you definitely, every vegan you meet, every vegetarian you meet, if they don't want to have their teeth rot or if they want to build muscle, lose fat, they're definitely on a stack of supplements, because they have to be, right? Protein powder, creatine, whatever it is, they have to be in order to achieve their body composition goals. Almost every study shows that omnivores have more muscle than vegetarians or vegans, okay? It's just that simple. A bunch of studies also show that vegans are way more micronutrient deficient than omnivores, I was talking about earlier. They lack essential minerals like vitamins like vitamin B12, omega-3 fatty acids, zinc, calcium, other vital nutrients, which are essential for health and performance. So if you're vegan or vegetarian, you either have to eat so much micronutrient dense, so many, what do vegans eat? Like tofu, legumes, so much of that kind of food to get your protein intake, or supplement so much that in order to achieve your protein and your other supplements like omega-3 and vitamins, you have to take all those supplements. Whereas if people who eat animals, right, red meat, poultry, seafood, dairy, eggs, don't have to take supplements, really, right? On top of eating blueberries and broccoli. So we live in a world where people have been brainwashed into thinking that red meat is bad as cigarettes. Okay, this is what I want to address as my next part, right? Because that will be the main argument for not vegans, but for some people who are against red meat and don't want to introduce it in their diet. So here's the truth, and I've looked at pretty much all the literature. People cite appalling studies with obese participants taking part in those studies to then show that there's a link between heart disease, and cancer, right? And red meat. And processed red meat, by the way. So in these studies, obese participants, most of them will be given processed red meat, or they'll be asked about their diet, which will be like, oh yeah, I eat a cheeseburger with bacon all the time. And then they'll also obviously have, heart disease and diabetes and all that stuff. And then they'll make the conclusion. That's how most of these studies were done. In other words, they got a bunch of fat people who ate cheeseburgers all day, and they made the conclusion that red meat is bad. The truth is that people who are active, who are lean, who are healthy, who eat lots of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, benefit from red meat. It does not, increase your cholesterol, increase your chance of heart disease, okay? It provides a source of protein, zinc, iron, creatine that you do not get with vegan or vegetarian diets, and which are essential, especially for fitness. For those of you who want to get big, who want to look good in clothes, who want to look good on the beach, if you want to get that body composition you dream of, then you can't be a vegan. And if you are going to be a vegan or vegetarian, it's going to just be so hard. It's just going to make your life so much harder, okay? And no one wants that. So the same lie applies to eggs and dairy. People talking about how eggs increase your cholesterol, bad cholesterol, right? That is false. Okay, eggs and dairy are that good dairy, not that pasteurized milk, that they sell in the supermarket. They don't increase your bad cholesterol or weight gain or heart disease. It's all lies. They are healthy. They're as healthy as any food out there. Myth number 7, eat big, get big. Okay, some people say that in order to get huge, you have to eat huge. Okay, and some people say, others who say you don't need to bulk. Right, bulking isn't necessary to gain muscle, and both of them are kind of right and kind of wrong. Okay, if you want to maximize muscle growth, then you need to eat quite a bit of food. Okay, you have to eat more than you're eating right now, especially if you're very skinny. But if you follow traditional bulking advice, you'll just gain fat. Right? You'll gain muscle, but you won't be able to look at yourself and look at a muscular physique. You'll just look at yourself and look at a fat physique, because you'll just gain, the rate at which you gain fat is way faster than muscle, right? Again, how much food you eat affects how much muscle you'll grow. If you don't eat enough calories every day, you will struggle to get bigger and stronger, okay? Likewise, if you cut your calories for fat loss, unless you are a beginner, in which case you can be in a calorie deficit and you'll grow like crazy because your muscles are so prone to stimulation and muscle growth, right? But besides that, if you're not a beginner and you cut your calories for fat loss, then yeah, you probably won't gain a lot of muscle or strength because muscle protein synthesis rates drop. So if you're 4 years into the gym and you're cutting for summer, don't expect to gain muscle for 3 months, those 3 months, right? But again, that doesn't mean you'll lose muscle. It just means you won't gain muscle, because in order to be in an anabolic state, you should be in a calorie surplus optimally, right? Also, when you cut your calories, your testosterone levels drop, your GH levels drop, your IGF-1 levels drop, and that may result in you being weaker in the gym. Your performance in the gym may decrease slightly, but as long as you just keep up that intensity when you're cutting, it's fine. But that's completely normal. So what you want to make sure you're doing is that you're not always in a calorie deficit if you want to optimize for muscle growth, right? Instead, you want to be in a calorie surplus. But this is where people get things wrong, okay? They enter too big of a calorie surplus. They gain too much fat and they never shed that fat off because it's just so difficult and so much effort. So the sweet spot, what you want to do is you want to eat 5 to 10% more calories than you burn a day. Anything more than that will just result you in gaining more fat than muscle. And then you'll have to shed off that fat, and that will just be hard. No one wants to do that. So in other words, 10% more calories than you burn each day versus 50% more calories than you burn each day will do no difference for muscle growth, but will only have a difference in terms of how much fat you gain. Meaning that you'll gain more fat from the 50% calorie surplus, okay? But then people tell me, oh, but you can't, what if you don't gain fat, won't you gain fat if you're in a small calorie surplus? Yes, that's the point. If you're in a calorie surplus, you're going to gain fat. You'll gain muscle as well, but you're going to gain fat. You have to in order to get stronger, get bigger. Okay. Again, fat stores energy as body fat. Okay. If you are in an energy surplus, some of that energy will be stored as body fat. Okay. You need to have a little bit of body fat to get bigger, stronger, and eventually get leaner. Okay. That's the point if you want to build muscle. But with this small calorie surplus, you won't look fatter. You may have more body fat on, but you'll also have more muscle on. So you'll just look like a bigger version of yourself. So if you start out lean, then you'll just look bigger and leaner. If you start out, mildly kind of lean, kind of muscular, then you'll just look like a bigger version of yourself. Because the rate at which you'll gain muscle to fat will be 1-to-1. So that's my biggest piece of advice for a beginner. Just follow this for life if you have to, right? You'll just look bigger. You won't look fatter. So why should I eat at maintenance calories then, right? Main gaining, so I don't gain fat. Well, first of all, a calorie surplus, again, is anabolic. It stimulates muscle growth more than maintenance calories. Thermodynamics tells us this. And two, it's actually impossible to know your maintenance calories, right? You can't possibly know. No one knows. Everyone has to give or take 100 calories to know what their maintenance calories are. So it's impossible to main gain. Technically, you're either going to be in a deficit or a very small deficit or a very small surplus. The best we can do is give or take 100 calories, estimate, right? But so overshooting it, in my opinion, from what I've seen, by 5 to 10% is optimal in terms of packing on muscle with minimal fat gain. Okay, this is what's termed as lean gaining, lean bulking, which makes it so easy to then shed that little bit of fat that just like a tiny bit that can maybe come off in like a month maybe or two, when you're entering in a deficit. This process of lean bulking, maybe 9 months of the year, okay, to get bigger and stronger, and then cutting 3 months of the year to get leaner, is how you transform your physique. This is a recipe of how you look in the mirror and you're so overwhelmed with pride, and you're so happy that you've achieved that physique. This is the process. 9 months of the year in the lean surplus, 3 months of the year just quickly shedding off that fat before summer maybe or whatever. And each time you do this, each process, each year, you will pack on more size. You'll be more defined, more vascular. You'll have more symmetry, a nicer physique, a more symmetrical, nicer to look at physique. This is the recipe for success, okay? Number 8, okay? Myth number 8. Frequent eating speeds up your metabolism. This is what I alluded to earlier, right? You have to eat many small meals per day to increase your metabolism, to accelerate fat loss, to regulate appetite. The theory is like when you eat, your metabolism speeds up because your body processes that food, and it's sort of like your body trains, is progressively overloading on food, so it somehow like increases its metabolism. Okay, and just like when you cut your calories, your metabolism decreases slightly. When you're in a calorie surplus, your metabolism does increase slightly, but again, both are negligible. Don't use that as an excuse to think that eating more meals frequently is going to increase your metabolism. That increase is tiny. It doesn't do anything, okay? So if you eat every couple of hours, your metabolism will remain high or remain elevated, which is just, again, BS. The French National Institute of Health and Medical Research looked at metabolic effects of eating 1 time a day to 7 times a day. So they got participants to eat once a day to 7 times a day. There was no difference in metabolism in terms of how frequently they ate their meals, okay? The British Journal of Nutrition found no difference in 3 meals a day versus 3 meals plus 3 snacks a day for muscle loss or fat loss, okay? The University of Missouri found that after 12 weeks of cutting, increasing protein intake improved appetite control, but meal frequency, so 3 meals a day versus 6 meals a day, had no effect on appetite control. The journal Obesity found that higher protein intake leaves you more full throughout the day, and some found that 6 meals a day has less. Some participants, when they ate 6 meals a day, were less satiated than 3 meals a day, so they ate more frequently throughout the day, and they were actually more hungry. And then there's some research that shows that people who ate 3 meals a day were more hungry than people who ate 6 meals a day. So bottom line is, increasing your meal frequency helps some people stick to their diet better and not overeat, and it helps other people and doesn't help other people stick to their diet better. So it's a mixed bag. So again, what does this mean? It means that the best diet is the one you can stick to, right? I eat, me personally, 4 to 6 meals a day when I'm lean bulking, okay? If some days I eat 4 and some days I eat 6, I don't care. It doesn't really make a difference to me. And then when I'm cutting, I like to eat, low amounts of meals. So I'll do maybe fasting and eat 2-3 meals a day when I'm cutting. And I think that's personally good advice. So I'd say advise you to start out on the lower ends of both of those and then increase accordingly. Are you too hungry on 4 meals a day? Or you're not hungry enough on 4 meals a day? Or sorry, too hungry on 2 meals a day if you're cutting, then make it 3 meals a day, right? So figure it out yourself because everyone's different at the end of the day. Myth number 9, skip breakfast or don't skip breakfast or fast or don't fast. Excuse me, let me just take a gulp. You'll find experts who say that skipping breakfast is the best way to stay lean, stay healthy, and others who say, no, actually, the best way to be focused and energetic is to have a big breakfast. Again, the research is all over the place, supporting both arguments. In a research study conducted by Harvard, people who didn't eat breakfast were hungrier later in the day and more at night. Okay? This speaks to the danger of skipping breakfast, sometimes leading to overeating, which will lead to fat gain. Okay? Vanderbilt found that not skipping breakfast or skipping breakfast had no effect on weight loss. Okay? So what matters is not breakfast itself, but eating habits. When you eat is far less important than what and how much of it you eat. Okay? So normally if your eating window is something like 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., right? That's probably for the majority of us when we eat, right? We wake up at 8 a.m. and our last meal is at 9 p.m., let's say, or before 9 p.m. So you eat food for 13 hours and you fast for 11 hours, right? But skipping breakfast, intermittent fasting, would mean that your first meal is at 1 p.m. and your last meal is before 9 p.m. This is the 16-8 protocol, skipping breakfast, okay? Intermittent fasting has been shown to be very effective for fat loss. I can attest, I do intermittent fasting when I'm cutting. It is extremely effective for fat loss. But other studies, and for other people, eating a large breakfast is better for fat loss for them, right? Because they won't be hungry throughout the day, but they are hungry in the morning. I'm not hungry in the morning. That's just me. So data shows, again, no difference. If you like or are hungry for breakfast, then you eat it. If you're not hungry for breakfast, don't, okay? Some people feel that a big breakfast actually nukes their appetite, right? They can eat a big breakfast, then a small meal before dinner, and that's it, okay? That's a great way. If that works for you, that will help you lose fat, won't it? Okay? Others like fasting because it reduces their appetite, increases their focus for work, makes them feel energetic. So you got to find out what works for you. Again, you have to find out and experiment what strategy works for you. Be patient. Find out. And once you find out, that can serve you for your whole life. Finally, myth number 10. Eating at night causes weight gain. Some fake doctors, some fake PTs claim that your metabolism is fastest early on in the day and slows down at night, right? Again, something I used to fall for. They say to eat more calories earlier on in the day because your metabolism decreases later on in the day. And if you eat late at night, then you'll gain fat, right? But again, this is BS. European Journal of Clinical Nutrition debunked this claim. Resting metabolic rate doesn't decline as the day goes on. In fact, even when you sleep, some studies have shown that your metabolism is highest when you sleep, right? And even if your metabolism did decrease as the day went on, remember, it's a myth. Metabolism is a myth. Energy balance is what matters, okay? The only way to gain fat is to eat more than you burn. It doesn't matter when or what you eat, okay? Some studies show that eating at night has been shown to increase long-term hunger and cravings. So this may be just, a bad habit if you like to snack late at night because it may increase your appetite. Some studies show that, in this sense, maybe if this applies to you, eating a large breakfast and then smaller meals throughout the day can help you lose fat and avoid increasing your cravings and appetite. Because some people, myself included, if I eat late at night, late night snacks, this will increase my appetite the next day and my cravings the next day. But other studies have shown that people who eat a big hefty dinners, like big steak, broccoli, potatoes for dinner, can fast the next day to 2 p.m. Right? So again, you have to figure out what helps. A big dinner or a big breakfast? Big dinner plus smaller meals or big breakfast plus smaller meals? Okay? That's my strategy that I advise people to find out for themselves, and that's what's going to help you lose fat. Okay? But FYI, although eating at night does not cause weight gain, it will mess up your sleep. I like to eat, my last meal is 3 hours before I go to bed. Anything later than that, I just feel like my heart's racing when I go to sleep. I can't fall asleep. So that's just an extra FYI. So to sum up, okay, calories in, calories out dictates whether you gain fat or lose fat. Simple as that. That's number one. Eat more calories than you burn, you'll gain weight. Eat less calories than you burn, you'll lose weight. Download MyFitnessPal, get a Whoop, get an Apple Watch so that you know how many steps you're doing a day, how many calories you're eating a day, and you can never lose. Okay. Only overeating makes you fat. No food in particular makes you fat. Carbs don't make you fat. Sugar doesn't make you fat. Junk food doesn't make you fat. It's just eating too much of those to the point where you're in an energy surplus makes you fat. Okay? And 3 common mistakes people make: underestimating their calories absorbed, overestimating how much calories they expend in a day, and overeating cheat meals or cheat days. And then they're like, oh, I can't gain weight, I can't lose weight. That's why. It's all mathematical. Success is mathematical. You track, you win. Okay? Some foods make it easier to build muscle and lose fat than others. That's very, very true. You should be eating, majority of your diet should be high protein, right? You should be eating a lot of protein. Focus on getting those high quality lean proteins every dinner. Promise yourself, I'm going to eat a high protein dinner, okay? But that doesn't mean that food itself makes it fattening or makes it slimming. It's only if you overeat or undereat food, okay? But if you eat high protein, your appetite will be less, your protein synthesis rate will be higher, you'll gain more muscle, you'll become bigger, you'll gain weight in the form of muscle, which means you'll lose fat because I don't want to get too complicated, but eat a lot of protein is my advice. Metabolic damage, okay, is not real. Your metabolism spiking or crashing during diets or when you eat a lot, it's negligible. The difference is negligible, okay? And it doesn't need to be fixed by then eating more to fix your metabolism, okay? Starvation mode, similarly, it's kind of real. Yeah, if you eat 800 calories a day, your metabolism is going to drop because you're basically telling your body that it's starving itself. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to not lose fat, or that doesn't mean that because you're not losing fat, it's because of something else, okay? Remember that. Another myth that we debunked today is carbs and sugars don't make you fat or unhealthy. Only overeating does. Think about, when you eat your foods, think about their calories, their micronutrients and macronutrients, rather than, oh, that's a good food, that's a bad food. No, again, nuts, olive oil, they're healthy, right? But they are high calorie, they're energy dense. So I guess someone could argue that they're good foods because they're healthy, but I could argue that they're bad foods because they're energy dense. Again, get that good or bad out of there. Only focus on calories, micro and macronutrients, okay? If you don't eat enough calories a day, you'll struggle to get stronger, to progressively overload, to get bigger, to give your body enough energy to pack on muscle. The sweet spot for muscle gain is 5 to 10% more calories than you burn in a day, okay? Just start doing that and do that for 9 months of the year. And then for 3 months of the year, eat 5 to 10% less calories than you burn in a day. And that's the recipe for your dream physique, okay? Eating more than that, no matter how much you may be convinced that your metabolism is different, that you're an alien, that you're not human, that you're a hard gainer, that you need more food, despite your mindset, right? That will just lead to you gaining fat. No matter what you think, it will lead to you gaining fat. Anything more than 10% above, in majority of cases, I'm speaking to the majority, not the 1% who, have to eat 5,000 calories to gain weight, right? Another myth we debunked: meal frequency does not affect metabolism. Just because you eat 6 meals a day doesn't mean that your metabolism is higher than it is when you eat 1 meal a day, okay? Next, skipping breakfast works for some people. Eating a big breakfast works for others, okay? Eating a big dinner works for some. Eating a big dinner works for others. You have to find out what works for you. Lastly, eating at night works for some, but eating at night doesn't work for others. If you like eating a big dinner and then fasting the next day and having a small meal plus a big dinner, do that. If you like eating a big breakfast, then having a small meal, and waking up the next day having a big breakfast and a small meal, then do that. You have to find out what works for you. So thank you for watching another long video, informative, jam-packed video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy, I'm going to be upgrading my quality in terms of production value with better camera, better lighting and stuff like that very soon. So hopefully these videos will be more engaging. But I hope all this info helped you in some way. If it did, please subscribe, leave a like, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.